Doug and
for Terrace Films.
all right. This week we thought we'd kind of tackle a real, kind of controversial issue that we kind of saw with the current Arizona bill to try and control women's right to choose, in a sense, under certain circumstances, like body rights, about conception and
Well, about abortion. Abortion.
So, I think this is kind of ridiculous, really.
Well, the bill actually, from what I've been reading, states this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, it has not become a law yet. It has to go through many readings, has to go through many votes. But the bill basically says is if, for example, a child, they could tell, has developmental issues, for example, Down syndrome or mental incapacitation, things like that, that is not a reason that they'd be allowed to have an abortion. Because some women, not all, but there are some women who will have an abortion based on whether or not the child will be fully healthy, so that's fully capable, or not.
Yeah.
Now, Arizona is trying to move to be able to prevent that as a potential reason for an abortion. Also, they're trying to give the fetus full human rights, right from conception, which means if a woman had an abortion really for any reason, then that woman could be charged with manslaughter because technically it would be murder. And then also part of the bill is whether or not they could charge doctors and or hospitals for performing abortions for those reasons.
Okay, listen. I'm sorry. When creationism creeps into governmental decision making, I have a problem with this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Let's look at it scientifically.
Right. Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That child is a collection of cells from...
Well, is it a child yet? That's kind of, I guess, what a lot of people debate. Do you consider that a child at conception, or when do they become a child?
I would say after the second, third month, your primary organs are formed. It's more physical. You can actually discern a human body.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I would say that is a child. But what I have an issue with is that you're saying at the moment that mother becomes pregnant, that genetic soup is a human being.
Right.
I have issue with that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not. It's a collection of cells. That's it.
Right.
It cannot survive on its own.
No.
It requires a period of growth and gestation and development.
Well, because I can't remember when exactly the heart starts to beat, but it's a little ways in.
Exactly.
I mean, it doesn't even have cognitive brain development as of yet. Not for a while.
And I think it's ludicrous that the Arizona government, is trying to give this collection of cellular material
same rights as the mother would have.
The same rights as the mother. That's preposterous.
Mm-hmm.
That is absolutely preposterous, and it staggers my head. That the government is trying to control a woman's right to choose what happens to her body.
And if you think about it, it's mostly based on religious beliefs.
Of course.
Because, we'll put it out this way now, granted not all Republicans think this way, but Arizona is heavily a Republican state, and these are Republican governor and senator that's introduced this bill. And a lot of them are what they consider social Republicans, which is different from fiscal Republicans, because social Republicans tend to be religious.
Of course.
Mostly Christian.
Yes.
So it's their own religious beliefs, basically, that they are trying to impose on others who may or may not be Christian, or even if they are, may not share the same belief system as they do. So, there's plenty of people who think, like you do, and that it's just cells. It has no actual human qualities as of yet. Not for a little while yet.
Absolutely.
So, would you say the same thing about, say, a virus? Shouldn't they live then? It's almost saying the same kind of thing, because they're at the same kind of level in a way at that point. I'm not saying a baby's a virus, but it's kind of, if you think about it, there's no consciousness at this point.
No.
Or anything. I mean, I know people think the baby, as soon as they're created, they have a soul. Well, here's the thing. Okay, let's argue that for a second.
Okay.
Well, say a woman has an abortion for whatever the reason might be, especially if, say, the baby will be born with severe defects, which might, drastically affect this child's life for the rest of the life.
For sure.
It could even be a short life. I mean, if you're being born with that, say, severe condition. Well, it's not, if, say, the mother decides to abort the baby before it even gets a heartbeat or any kind of brain function or anything like that, well, a soul can't be destroyed. So you're not actually destroying the soul. So how are you destroying the child? The soul will move on and be reborn somewhere else, potentially to the same family. It's the shell or the carrier that's being destroyed.
Okay, I can.
If you want to look at it that way,
I can see the point you're making. So I think if you want to argue it that sense, okay.
If
fine.
you're going by the religious, but a lot of people are not. That's just who believe that way.
But we also need to take into consideration the disparity in the law.
Oh, definitely. You mean between men and women's rights?
Between
definitely.
Men and women's health rights.
Yes.
If
women have constantly had to fight for theirs.
So, I'm going to say this as a man. Mm-hmm. If you're going to try and control a woman's right to choose what happens to her body, guess what? You should do on the flip side.
Same to a man.
Same to a man.
Mm-hmm. Like, I guess the closest equivalent to banning abortions for women and taking away her right to have an abortion legally, because let's put it this way, it's not going to stop abortions.
No,
if a woman wants one, she will get one, no matter what happens. Just like they did way back in the 40s, 50s when it was illegal.
Yes.
They went underground, or they
came
here to Canada, or they went to a different state where it was legal. So, I mean, it's not going to stop it, it's just going to move it somewhere else. So, okay, if you want to do that, then let's prevent men from being able to have children past a certain age.
Yeah.
They must have a vasectomy then.
Exactly.
Because the older the man is, the higher the chance of birth defects. So,
of course.
Or if they have any kind of health issues of any kind that they could potentially pass on to that child, but then don't let them have kids.
See, like...
It works both ways.
And this is what, we are in agreement with. If you're going to say this to one, you got to say it to both.
Right.
So, look, you hit the age of 40. If you haven't had kids,
too bad. I guess you're adopting.
You're adopting,
or if you have any kind of even a history of some kind of severe illness that you could potentially pass on to this kid, but you also can't have kids. That kind of idea.
Sorry, dude, you got to go in and get clipped.
Right.
Do your civic duty.
Right.
Because we mandated it by law.
It's because these people are not paying for that kid. They're not paying for the special treatment. They're not paying for the special schools. They're not paying for the hospital bills. They're not paying for all of that.
No.
The 24-hour care that some of these kids need. Do they have a right to live? If the parent wants them, yes, of course. And they're willing to put in that kind of effort. But not all parents may have that ability, for one. And it should be up to that parent.
Of course.
Whether or not they want to have that child, especially the woman. She's the one who has to give birth to the kid.
For sure.
So why is governments choosing whether or not she can choose to have this? What if it's a rape victim? What if it's a 13-year-old kid who's raped? Are you expecting them to have that child just because of your religious beliefs?
Well, and if okay, like you kicked the door open on that.
Right.
Let's follow this, like, crazy train. You know, look at the psychological damage that will do to a child that has suffered sexual assault.
Right. A 13-year-old doesn't have the same kind of ability to differentiate, and even an adult woman will have trouble with this.
Of course.
Where the child was conceived to now raising that child, or even giving it up for adoption. I mean, that's something that's going to stick with you for life. It will anyway, but even more so.
I got raped by a man, and now I'm legally forced to carry
and give birth to the child,
the progeny of this son of a gun. Nah.
Right.
Sorry, I can't accept that.
If they choose it, that's one thing, but it should be their choice.
It should be the choice.
It shouldn't be the government stepping in. Oh, no, we don't agree with abortion, so we won't let anyone be able to choose whether or not they have an abortion or not. Whether you agree with it or not. Because you could say the same people who, for example, the people who say, well, you're trying to take away our guns. It's our rights and our Constitution to have guns. Well, say somebody came in and said, no, this person killed somebody, so none of you can have guns anymore. All of you have to give them up because we say so. Well, that's kind of the same idea, isn't it? You know, like, you know, you can't do this because we say so, because it's our belief that you shouldn't have it, so nobody can have it.
So it's you know, you're literally, the Arizona government's literally trying to hold women genetically hostage.
Well, exactly, and Arizona's by no means the only state that is introducing legislation like this. It's just the latest one. There are other states that are also doing that and introducing similar bills.
And we have seen this pop up on occasion.
Oh, quite a bit.
And so we thought we'd actually come on air tonight and actually discuss this, because we're based in Canada.
Yeah, which it was an issue here too. I mean, years ago, and every once in a while the issue does come up.
Yes.
Where should it be changed or whatever? But the thing is, our country leans more and more to the liberal side for your Democratic side.
Yes.
So, or to the left a little bit. So, most of our premiers, prime ministers don't tend to try to open that up because they know it's pretty much a dead issue here. Yeah. So we don't want it changed. We believe in people's right to choose for themselves whether or not they want this or not, kind of thing. So it's just more of an issue in the States. But we just thought it was important that should really governments have that right to come in and say, no, you're going to have that kid no matter what.
Okay.
Even if it kills you.
I'm going to say this on the air right now. I feel that the government should not have a choice.
No, I don't think so either.
The government should not have the right to control what you as a vibrant woman does with your body.
Right.
You know, there's a fine line, you know, where it's going from government to control.
Well, that is control, I think.
You know, and they're crossing over it with both feet to try and get this pushed.
Right.
If you know, and sorry guys, if you're gonna do it, you got to do it right across the board, and you know, accept the consequences.
Right.
You know, when men and women are gonna riot in the streets because no, you can't tell us what we can and cannot do.
Well, as you know, there have been different protests. Really on both sides. I mean, there's been abortion clinics that will have anti-abortion protesters, and then you'll have the ones who are pro-choice on the other side. I mean, it's an ongoing debate, but the thing is, it's still your own belief system.
For sure.
And the thing is, regardless of whether you believe in, you know, life begins at conception, or it's you know, that baby has rights as soon as they're conceived, or if you believe they're just cells and it's up to the woman until that baby can actually survive on its own. It needs the mother, so really it's her right to supersede it. Do either one of you have the right, really, to impose your own belief system on someone else?
No. We're about to run out of time here on the show, but do come over to our YouTube channel and we're going to discuss this more in depth. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
And we'll see you on our YouTube channel to discuss this further. Take care, guys.
Bye.